What's up out there? It is finally time for episode 1 in my last Epoch series. Now, I have been playing for a couple of days. I was able to actually play on launch day for a couple hours, hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that. I was able to play for a little bit, but the problem was you'd play for a while and like you'd go to load to the next area and it would just go off into Neverland and you'd have to force close the game and restart. Eventually it got to the point where I think it just wasn't working at all. And I just force closed it and went to play Path of Exile for a little bit. So I do have an online character. I went to play this last night. This is day 3. And I actually tried to make a video last night, but I just wasn't quite feeling it. Online wasn't working. And I ended up making an offline character. I had zero interest in playing offline. I just wanted to play online and move it on. But now that I'm sitting here on the other side of this, I wonder why I even cared about playing online. With all the server issues they've had, the biggest thing that this game has going for it at this moment is the offline mode. It grazed 200,000 players on Steam. It showed like 196,000 players or something like that. I want to say online, but I don't mean online as in playing this game. I mean, on Steam, there was 196,000 people playing, and I thought that was pretty impressive. The numbers keep going up, which is great. This is a very cool game. I think it's very well deserved of it. It's unfortunate to see the issues that they have with it. But when you go from, I saw somebody showing the numbers of, the player base in the beta, like it went from 30,000 was the high point or something like that recently. And then it got down to like 10,000 or 7,000 or something crazy low. And then just instantly shot up to 100,000 and now almost 200,000. So it's crazy numbers that these guys are dealing with. And it sounds like it's not capacity so much as it's more bugs in code and just things that they didn't have when they didn't have this size of an audience playing the game. So they had everything tuned out to where they were, but now we're on the other side of release and it's just this massive game, which is a good problem to have. They've sold 1 million copies. They've got almost a fifth of that online at one point. So that's good. That's awesome. I think the biggest thing that this has is the offline mode. And I ended up switching to offline. So I did start and get my Sentinel up to Forge Guard, level 16. And then I switched over to offline yesterday. I really didn't want to. So when I started on Wednesday, I didn't care about playing offline. I didn't really, I thought there might be some differences that maybe you didn't get league content or cycle content, whatever they call it. Or there would be some differences or something like that. And I was kind of hesitant. I'm like, well, if they get it running, then I don't want to have to abandon a character I've spent some time on. But then now that I've switched, I don't really want to go to online because it's got problems and I can just play here. I don't have to worry about loading screens. I don't have to wait. I mean, there is some loading screens here and there, but I don't have to wait for anything. I just go into the next area and it loads up. I don't get timeouts. I don't get hangs. I don't have to deal with all this online crap. I'm not worried about playing with anybody. I'm doing solo self-found anyway. I don't care. So in my opinion, I think offline mode is perfectly fine. Now I do have a Steam Deck. I did load this on there. I'm curious if it works. Somebody told me, or I was reading, not told me, but I was reading online. I don't remember where it was. I've looked at some various forums here and there, and I saw that it sounds like you can actually play the game in offline mode, which makes sense, and then it uploads to your save to the Steam cloud, which I think it should, whether you're offline or not. I saw some odd arguments, but Steam is not the same as Last Epoch. Steam is its own framework, and it has cloud saves built in, so it makes sense that if you play this offline, that as long as the developers enabled cloud saves, it would save it up to the cloud, and then you could get it on your Steam Deck. So I'm hoping that's what it does. I don't know that I want to play it on Steam Deck. I just want to kind of check it out. So, yeah, long story there, but besides the connection issues and the long times between areas and the offline where they just had everything shut off, it's been a pretty good launch, I would say. Let's go ahead and get in the game here. I have a Rogue. I believe that's the class name in here. I guess I better go to the passive. So this is the Rogue class. And I've specialized into the marksman. The falconer looks cool. Blade dancer's probably cool, but I wanted to go all bows. So because I've got a bow build going on in Path of Exile. So, and the big thing was when I switched over from online to offline, I wanted to do something completely different. And now that I'm playing this, I really don't want to go play melee. I'm really loving this ranged, go kill something over there. There's a remote problem that I need solved, and I just handle it, and I don't have to worry about it. On the other side, this is not very tanky, and it's kind of a squishy build, and you just get mowed down. But I do have some points into this. I have this multi-shot opened up. Not sure that I'm going to use this necessarily. I have it set on my hot bar, but I've barely used it. I've been using the ballista a lot more. I've got this detonating arrow. I haven't really messed with that. As far as specializations go, I am specialized into shift, which is like a dash move kind of thing. Basically, I've got this taken, cooldown recovery, a little bit of cooldown recovery. I took all 3 points into that. Then I put points into shadow recuperation, which heals you when you dash or shift, whatever this is. And then this breathing technique, shifting heals you for a portion equal to your dexterity. So I thought that was cool. Mainly in boss fights and stuff, you can get away and heal as you go. I put a point in this Jade Quiver. I don't know that I'm really happy with it. It is what it is. I may back out of that and do something different. And then I took one with 1 point into Swift Recovery. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this particular specialization or not. I don't want to lose the cooldown recovery, so this one might be I have to stay in this one, but I don't know how many levels you can get into this. Like, I don't know, is level 10 the top? Is level 50 the top? I don't know. Is there a top end to this? I have no idea. I'm not sure if they tell you in here. It doesn't look like they say how many total skill points there are, but I know you can get to level 100 as skill level, but I'm not sure how many points you can put into this stuff. Like, can you put points into everything in here, or is there a limit? I don't know. The other thing I've put points into is this Cinder Strike. Now, I actually really like this. This is my right-click skill. It's doing 672 DPS, which this was a big revelation. I was sitting trying to figure out how to get DPS. I was looking at my character screen, and I'm like, well, they don't show DPS on here anywhere. And then it dawned on me, hey, if you just mouse over the skill, it tells you the DPS of the skill. So when you switch weapons, it actually shows you the DPS of the what you're getting from that weapon or combination of gear. So if you go in here and change different bows, like if I swap this bow, I'm doing 559. If I swap back, I'm doing 672. So I can actually compare these by just switching them. I don't have to guess. That's one detriment of Path of Exiles. Like, they give you some tooltip information, but not like a lot of great tooltip information. I don't know. I don't really care. I think this game, for what it is, for a class-based system like this game is fine and it works perfect. I don't need it to be Path of Exile. This is a completely different experience than Path of Exile, and I think it's fantastic. I love the change of pace. But anyway, back to this Cinder Strike thing. So basically, this does a lot of fire damage, and there's other options where you can do some whatever all this other stuff is, but I've been mainly sticking to, like, the poison chance from all sources is converted to ignite chance. This deals increased fire damage over time per point of dex. So the more dex I have, the more this is going to do over time. Ignite chance on here, which I got 3 more points I can put into there. Incinerate deals additional fire damage. I don't know that I want some of this other stuff yet, like the further out parts. I haven't really looked at these. I've been trying to pick some more closer stuff to do more damage. But this thing rules. I like this a lot. This is my favorite bow skill so far. I thought about looking at this detonating arrow. It does a lot more damage, but it costs mana. This thing has 0 mana cost, so I can just blast away with it. And then the other thing I've put points into is this ballista. And basically I took this agile engineering, which places it faster. Then we've got flaming shots because I'm doing everything else with fire. And then explosive delivery. So these ballistas now explode when they hit, dealing fire damage to the area. And when the ballista gets broken or you cast a second one that replaces one, it actually explodes in place. So I'm not sure if I want to go over to Tripwire where you connect 2 of them together and it blows them all up. I'm not sure that I want to do that, but that's an option. And then we've got Bolt Rain to get extra extra projectiles out of this. I don't know that I want to take, I don't know where else I'd want to go on this, but that's kind of where I'm at for now. And like I said, I'm not sure exactly how many of those points we get for specializations. So man, coughing. So I'm not sure exactly how many of these points we get. One thing I didn't know at first is that you could specialize into you could take 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could specialize in 5 things here and not specialize in any of the rest of this stuff. Or you can specialize in some of these down here. Like you can really mix this up. Every one of these has got a tree. And what I thought is that initially you had to specialize in like the rogue skills first, and then you could specialize in these down here. Like I thought you had to take one from each category. I didn't realize you can just specialize in whatever. So I thought this was cool. I can actually specialize in these different ones. I don't know. I haven't looked at like Dark Quiver, Hail of Arrows, or any of this stuff yet. Detonating Arrow. Yeah, I still just really haven't looked at it. But I've got 2 more. Once I get to 35 and 50, I'll be able to specialize in a couple of more things. As far as story goes, let me drop these things off. I've been buying some of these things. They go up in cost as you go, these tabs. If I add one, now it's 20 grand. I need to add another tab, which I thought it was going to be like the same cost throughout. So I started doing what I did in Path of Exile, which is just have the different spots for, like weapons, armor, belts, boots, stuff like that. And then like idols and relics and jewelry and things. But I probably could get rid of half of this crap. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I figure if I'm going to play this cycle or league or whatever you want to call it, if I'm going to play this offline, then I'm probably going to just invest in these stash tabs right now. That way I just have them for the entirety of the time that I play this. So that's my thinking with it, is just go ahead and do this. And if they're going to start with a new cycle and it resets like Path of Exile, then you're going to have to buy all these tabs and stuff again on the next cycle anyway. So it doesn't matter. So that's kind of what I've got going on. I've got a few idols open up. I've got some gear. It's just whatever I've found off the ground. I did craft a little bit along the way, but most of it's just the stuff that I've crafted. So I have gone into the campaign quite a bit. I don't know exactly where I'm at. I don't know if there are, like, does it say where? It doesn't really say the chapter that I'm on. I've got a number of quests completed, but like, I don't know, like in Path of Exile, they give you an act. You're on this act and this is where you're at. And I don't know where I'm at in relation to that. Looks like we need to go here. Waypoint locked. Why can't we get there? Is that one locked too? I guess I got to go to this town. I think I got to that town and then quit. That's probably what happened. Oh yeah, it is. I just got to this town and quit. So we'll go show off some of these skills. These elemental arrows, where did I get those from? Was that from I think that was from my passive tree. I may spec out of these. I'm not sure I like these or not. They're supposed to do more elemental damage like fire and lightning when you use them. But the problem is when you use these things, they go away and you don't get them unless you move and then you build them back. So it's kind of odd. I don't know that I like them. I might go somewhere else. Plus 12 fire damage, and elemental arrows per second, maximum elemental arrows plus 3. I think every point I get might bump that up. I'm not sure, but I might be inclined to go put in missile mastery. I haven't really dug too far into this, but it looks like there's some really cool stuff. Like I was thinking about going into this elemental barrage, but that's if I stay with this elemental arrow, and I'm not sure I want to. And then we've got some other things that increase elemental damage and other stuff as you get further on this side of everything. One thing I really like is something on here I think heals me as here. You have increased bow attack speed, and when you use a bow attack and hit at least one enemy, you regain health. So I'm going to put points into that. So it's like total leech without like having leech. And there's leech on gear and stuff you can get too, but like you can get this in the passive tree. It does more damage or attacks faster or something. And I haven't fought anything here, so I don't know how thick this stuff's going to be. But that's what I've got for my main attack, is that fire arrow. I can drop a ballista. If I drop other ballistas, everything blows up around it, but I only have so much mana. And let's see here. This is what I like about it. It's got a nice big AoE, and I can drop these, fly back, kill all this stuff off. And it's been pretty cool. I've had next to no issues. I don't know how many times I've died. I'm sure I've died at least once or twice, maybe once. It's been a much smoother experience than the melee side. And now I don't really want to go play melee anymore. Like, this is so much different with the little turrets and everything that I can have. The ranged exploding stuff. Like, I thought I was having fun with the melee side as it was, and I was enjoying it, but I'm enjoying this so much more. Yeah, and I normally play melee, and I think that's why I'm enjoying this so much more, is because I'm doing something completely different. Like, I'm not doing the same old thing. And this doesn't feel all that different from Path of Exile, really. The monsters are a lot different. Like, you have to spend time killing things. You're not gonna... Even normal monsters, like, I'm sure there's rare or unique or whatever, but even like your normal, see, these guys take a little bit of damage. They don't just instantly die. And they take a while to kill. You don't have the big crowds. Is something reviving this stuff? Yeah, these things are. Let's try this spell. So this thing's that... What is this? The multi-shot. This thing's got to die, because he keeps respawning that crap. So that's that multi-shot. The problem is it takes magic or mana to use, and you just burn that stuff. We could try this thing out. What's this do? I like this chick. She screams the randomest things, or the most random things. She'll sit there and laugh and cackle at things. I think it's hilarious. Some of the monsters I was fighting earlier, they were kind of laughing and screaming and stuff, like they'd have some wild, crazy scream and come charging at you. I thought it was hilarious. I think they wanted me to go do some crafting stuff here earlier too, and I've kind of skipped out. But yeah, this is when, I shouldn't say when the game works right, because I made the mistake of playing online instead of just playing completely offline. I should have just stuck with offline and been done with it. I should have started right off the gate with offline and just let it be. But I wasn't quite sure how the offline part worked. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be like only legacy. Like in Path of Exile, if you were to play what, I don't want to say offline mode, but if you played Standard League, it is, the Standard League is not the actual current league. And I wasn't sure if you could play the current league in this game, or current cycle or whatever. But apparently in offline mode, you can play the current league cycle mechanics or whatever. Now, in this version of the game, this is just the 1.0 release. So we don't actually have like a league mechanic going on right now. Like in Path of Exile, we've got Affliction League. In this one, we don't have anything like that. So your legacy characters is basically your pre 1.0 beta characters, which is okay, I guess. Let's see, what did I want to put? You know what? Let's put point into that. But the thing that I thought was kind of really interesting is they have two different SSF modes. For one, and if you go online, you get 2 tick boxes. If you're playing offline, you only get the one. So if you go online, there's 2 check boxes. One is for account self-found, solo self-found, and the other one is for character solo self-found. So the big difference is, what's this thing here? Jade Arrow? Okay. So the big difference is, if you find it in the account found, that means any character you have can find it all in your stash space. So this character, your default offline mode is account found. So this is a current account found character right now. And I don't really have a reason to play character found. I don't know. I think that's like super hardcore that I don't really want to do. I could see reasons for doing it, you know, if you wanted to not have to deal with all the clutter of, you know, shared inventory and stuff like that. I could certainly see that. Oh, we got to go over here. But I think just straight up solo self found's fine by me, just account found, because then I can look for stuff as I'm playing here and I can play other builds. That's what I really like about Path of Exile's SSF mode, is that everything is account shared. This game gives you some options, so tons of options on how you want to play. Like, there's so many different ways to play this game. And I like that they do have that option. So character SSF is not for me necessarily, but I like that they have that as an option. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly real quick here. Obviously, the worst part of this is the launch of it. But as far as the actual game goes and when you're playing, I've not had any issues. They've been doing some decent bug patching and stuff like that. It looks like they've had patch out once or almost, I don't want to say daily, but it looks like they've had 1 or 2 patches out so far. So it's pretty cool to see that they're definitely standing by their product early on. We're going into the weekend and the player numbers just keep going up. But I think the biggest thing is people found offline mode, or they fixed the online, one of the two. And yeah, I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of invested in this offline mode right now. So I have no interest in playing online, especially since I found out you can play league content or cycle content without being on, you can do this offline. It's not limited to just, like I was saying earlier in Path of Exile, it's if you play standard, you're just limited to standard mode. That's it. You get no league content. You might get some updates here and there, but this one offline looks like it. You can do legacy, but then you can also play just cycle content offline. Now, I think I also said this too. From what I understand, there's probably no difference. You're getting whatever the 1.0 launch gets us as opposed to what the beta was. But I don't think there's some massive difference in the game. You know what I mean? At least from what I've seen. This is the furthest that I've been in the game. And it's unfortunate because I've been avoiding there's some content creators I like following, and I've had to avoid their content because I just don't want to be spoiled. I came into this game completely blind. I've watched a few videos in the beta section trying to decide what class I wanted to play, and at the end of the day, I ended up just picking one anyway. I don't think you'd really want to follow build guides. In my opinion, if you want to play this game, you just start off, play the game, and just play and have fun. Make your own build. They explain everything in the game, how it's played, how it works. There's plenty of hints along the way. I think they've done a phenomenal job. But again, that's because this game has class-based systems. So this is like more ARPGs are than Path of Exile. So like you come in here to this flurry skill, you can mouse over all these and it tells you what each of these does and how they scale. So like it's got scaling tags, physical, melee, bow attack, area, and dexterity. So they tell you how to deal with some of this stuff, in the game. And I'm a big proponent of everything being in the game. I say that, and then I will say that Path of Exile is fine not having stuff in the game, because Path of Exile is just such a complex game. I would rather have it complex than have to deal with some Diablo 4, sketch it out on Notepad, in 5 lines. I'm more of a fan of games that have complexity to them. I don't mind simple games by any stretch, but sometimes things are too simple, and there's simple fun like Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is a simple and fun game, and then there's simple and just kind of bad and boring, and that's Diablo 4. So I won't get on that soapbox, but I've obviously made my feelings known. But anyway, graphically, I think this game has improved since the beta. I don't think it's still that great of a looking game. I mean, it looks fine. Again, I play Vampire Survivors. I don't care about graphics that much. I don't have to have the greatest, I don't have a 4090 with 3,000 gigs of RAM that I have to show off my high-end $50,000 PC. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I don't have that kind of problem. I just play video games and I enjoy them. So I mean, the graphics are better. I mean, they're certainly noticeably better. There was kind of some janky ones at first. If I have any complaints, the voice acting can be kind of dodgy. Some of it feels like the developer may have just a couple of the developers may have just sat down and did some voice recording on their own, which is perfectly fine. I'm not going to dog that. But if I have any issues to complain about, it would be just a little bit of the audio is kind of bad. Not bad, but just, it could be better. A voice is better than no voice, but if you have a good story voice, then that, or a good character that portrays feelings and stuff like that very well, that's a whole different ballgame. So I think everything's pretty good. I don't know. I have some minor complaints, like if I want to sell stuff, if I want to sell stuff or put stuff in my inventory, almost every other ARPG in existence that I know of, you hold the control key down and then right click. This one you have to shift right click, which I think is kind of weird. I'm not a fan of that. And what else? Oh, the music. You get into a big boss fight situation and the music's like super mellow and it's like, where's the big death metal soundtrack or something that, shows I'm fighting things? It just feels kind of muted. But those are, who cares? At the end of the day, this game is pretty damn good. And if that's what I have to complain about is just some minor things that don't really matter all that much in the grand scheme of things, the launch has been fairly well. I know the online issues. I 100% know the online issues. I'm not discounting those when I say that the launch is fine. What I'm saying is the game is not buggy. It's not broken. We had a lot of problems when Wolcen launched, and I was thinking about this the other day. I think I played Wolcen a lot on my own originally. I think I played for a week by myself because I don't remember any of the launch issues of Wolcen. But some friends got it, and then we co-opted it like, I don't know, a week or two into it after I'd been playing for a while. I had some significant progress, and then they joined in. So I think it was after all the initial launch headaches. The big problems with Wolcen wasn't just, like if there was, I don't remember specifically, but I think I played offline, so I didn't see any of the issues like we're seeing here with these online issues here. But the big problem Wolcen had, and I think it may even still have to this day, is they had a lot of buggy things. Like there was a lot of, I guess I could just keep going this way, couldn't I? I'm already committed. We'll go back this way. I want to go back to that chest. Actually, I need to go to this door, but I want to go to that chest. But a lot of the things that Wolcen had were like skills that just flat out didn't work. Passive points or whatever, stuff just didn't work. They had major issues. I remember when we were co-oping through it, we got stuck on a boss. We couldn't kill the thing. It like totally glitched out or something. And I might have, I don't know if I still have it on my channel or not. I made a video of it at one point just showing it because it was like, this is ridiculous. But that was a few years ago now. I think I might have made that one a private video because it doesn't apply to anything. It was just a little view of something stupid from years ago. But that was a definite issue. This game has nothing like that, but it's also sat in early access for quite a while. And, it's had plenty of time in the cooker. So it's understandable that when your audience goes from a few thousand to 100,000, that you're going to have some significant differences in. What is that? Lightless Arbor key. Is that a dungeon key? Don't want that. This is for Primalist. I think I'll hang on to that for now. I'm not sure. Opens the door to the Lightless Arbor beneath the Shrouded Ridge. So I did go. Where was that at? That was in the Ruined era. Yeah. So, that is Lightless Arbor. Okay, cool. We could go run that. So I went down there and I didn't have a key. I didn't realize you had to have a dungeon key to go in there. That's cool. So we could go run that. All right, we need to go over here now. We do have point to put into this thing. So what I want to do here, we'll do more projectile. 6? Wow, that thing jumped up. All right, sweet. So that's going to be blasting off all kind of projectiles. Let's see here. I like the fact that they have different SSF modes. I like the fact that this game has, I don't know if you noticed it, but there's a lot of stuff down in the distance down here. Like there was one level that reminded me straight up Gears of War, because there was stuff in the background, at least the first two Gears of War. I don't remember number 3, and I haven't played 4 through whatever else they have today, but I think it was in the first or second, maybe both Gears of War. You'd see some big stuff moving in the distance out in the far background. There was one level I was in, some gargantuan Godzilla looking thing was walking in the background. I was like, man. And then I noticed that there's like little cities and stuff. Like you kind of don't pay attention to this, but there's like trees and stuff down there. They put a lot of things in just the far distant background that's kind of cool. Now everything's kind of like one of these, I don't know, you're always on some mountain or something, but I thought it was kind of cool. Just little details that, like this stuff here looks kind of plain. This could be a little better. Some of, that's pretty flat. I don't know that I necessarily totally care. But like Path of Exile, comparing it to that, because that's what I've been playing a lot of recently. Like this is a lot of open, muddy ground. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but there's like no trees or anything on it. It's just kind of flat, and that's about it. And then there was like the area that I was in just before this was super bland and just dark. Like it was just nighttime constantly, and I think that was the point. I think one of the NPCs mentioned that it was like this dark area, and that's fine, but it went on for a little bit too long for my taste. I think it could have been a little bit shorter of an area. That was just kind of, I wasn't a fan of that whole thing. Oh, we got to fight this guy. Yep, he's gonna. Then there's these little guys, these little mini bosses like this guy here. These guys are a little bit different. Like they're not boss fights, but they're kind of sort of boss fights. They put up a decent fight. Like they'd probably be an elite in Path of Exile, maybe. All right, I gotta get out of here. Gotta go. Where do these guys keep coming from? I like the I can deal with packs with this. Like straight up just blow up packs. All right, drop a couple more of those, get me out of here. Probably shouldn't have done that. But I kind of like those fights. Some of them are pretty tough. And like with this class, well, with my melee class, I just stand up there and fight him. But with this class, I got to move around a little bit because I am pretty squishy at times. And here's one thing that I do complain of. I do have as a complaint. Most games, you could walk up to this doorway and just keep holding your mouse on the doorway, and you wouldn't actually go through the doorway until you actually let off the click and then selected this. If I mouse over and don't take my finger off of it, it just takes me into the next area. I don't like that. The problem that I have with it is if I spawn in here and I'm facing towards the doorway, I tend to try to go where I'm facing, and that throws me off every time. So I don't really like that all that much. We got stuff to fight here. Yeah. Get out of the way of that. I have to figure out what some of these monsters are. Like, are they rare? Like, these guys have blue, so in like Path of Exile terms, they would be magical. You've got your normal white lettered monsters, and then you've got your blue monsters, and you've got your, which are magic, and then you've got the rares and the uniques and stuff like that. But I think there's another level on top of that, because there's the thing that I just fought out there, and then these guys are a little bit thicker, unless, I don't know, maybe they're considered the same thing. I don't know that it matters. Like, I don't really care. But like these guys are a little stronger. These guys are just pack animals, basically. But these things, I was kind of on the monsters. Like, they didn't feel like they did a whole lot. But the more I play, why can't I? It looks like I can go through here, but I can't. the more I play this, the more I think that it's getting harder as I go, and the monsters are having more and more mechanics. Like they go easy on you at the very first, and then they start bringing it on and doing a little bit more. Because that thing's flying around, that bone sculptor thingy is just flying around. And he's summoning all kinds of zombies and stuff, like, constantly. So it's just getting to be a little bit more and more active as we go. All right, we have to go down here. I do like throwing these turrets out at range, letting them go deal with it. In Path of Exile, these things will actually aggro monsters. In this game, it doesn't appear, and I don't know if you can set that to do that in the passive tree or not, or in their little skill tree or not. I'm not sure. I don't know that I care, but yeah, see, look at that, all that down there. There's like a whole town down there. It feels kind of weird, like we're up in some mountain area that's like way up in the sky. All right, this is going to be a big boss fight here. Oh, let's go see how this goes. This thing always spawns some weird... it didn't spawn that magic mage guy, whatever he is. This guy, exiled mage. This thing usually spawns these things. This thing kicked my ass when I was playing as the paladin, or the sentinel. He drops all kinds of AoEs and stuff. And he's fast. He gets around. So you really got to be on your toes fighting this thing. And the one that killed me when I was the sentinel, he was lightning. He was lightning. He straight up tore me up. But I went. This was during the beta. I went off and what do you call that? Crafted up some. Where's he at? He's dead. I crafted up some lightning resistance on my armor. And was able to get through him. That wasn't a big deal. I thought it was... what I really liked about it is I didn't have to go back to town like Path of Exile and craft something up. I could actually just craft it up in the field and go from there. These guys drop this experimental stuff, which is yellow gold. It's like these are rare. I'm sorry, not yellow gold. Yellow blue. So these these experimental iron frost greaves. So these things have a lot of benefits to them. Do I want to swap these out? I think so. I'm losing a little bit of strength and int and some health generation, but gaining a lot of other stuff. So I think I'll swap those out. I found a few of these things. I don't know what I've done with them all, but I think those are kind of cool. Apparently we're going to have to go around. Let's try going around this way. This is getting to be a lot more difficult. So the kind of crazy thing is you go through time with this game and you go back and forth through these different time zones or whatever. And that's what all this is about. The ancient era, the divine, the imperial ruined, and end of time. But sometimes the skill or the monster difficulty gets like you'll go through this really difficult area and then you come back to a different era and it's easier monsters. I like had a cakewalk fighting some dinosaurs after this one, like the second or third area you get to. It was kind of crazy. I was like, why is it getting easier? I do like how they're using the depth of the levels. Like you go up stairs and stuff like that. Like now the area we were looking down into is here now. Like we came down into this. Oh, get me out of here. I don't know what that big AoE is. I don't want to be chased by these things, but let's get back a little bit. Cool thing is I've got leech on here, so I can just steal from this guy. He's going down like a sack of shit. All right. No problem. No problem at all. All right, let's talk to Chicky here. I've kind of been sort of following the story. Do I get a ring? Did you give me a ring? Do I get a cool ring? No. One thing another complaint that I have is that you have to click this transfer materials button to, like, you get all this crafting stuff in here. I don't know why, like in SSF or something, they don't just put it into the crafting materials. I think you can come in here and pull this stuff out. I'm not sure. Maybe you can't. Did it put in my inventory? No, apparently not. I don't get that. Like, that stuff fills up your inventory, and it seems like an oversight. Like, they should just have it go. I could understand it if it was in Trade League or whatever. You may not want to just instantly put that stuff in your stash if it goes there. And maybe that's what it's all about, is just selling it and all that. But it just seems kind of odd. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. I wish it would just go in there. I looked through the options. I didn't see any options to drop that stuff in there automatically. Quiver of Frost. I should sit down and do some more crafting. See if I can make some of this stuff do more ignite. And, you know, I could craft poison on here and I get a chance to ignite off of that. So it'd be worth it just to try some of that stuff out. I don't know how I feel about this. This is a complaint, but I don't know how serious of a complaint it is. If I clear this area out and then move forward, there will be monsters that come from this area at times. And I don't like that. I think I don't like that, because I'll have it all cleared out and then monsters come from behind. You know, I'm moving forward. I'm pushing in at this, trying to keep an area clear, and then it's not. It's only clear until it isn't. So I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that. I'm kind of not happy with it, but at the same time, that guy just came running up from behind. No idea where he came from, because I just cleared this entire area. So, not terribly enthused by that. I kind of like having an area clear. I do like these guys that pop up. Like, this is a decent fight. You know what I mean? Like, this is not just boring. Like in Path of Exile, you're going to fight a level and then you fight a boss to end it. This one has all these little sub bosses all over the place, and I think those guys are kind of cool. I like seeing those. Let's see, get that belt before it goes away. I forgot this has set items. Been a while since we've had a ARPG with set items, meaning you have to collect. Where is it? This thing here. You have to collect. I think this is a set. Yeah, a 3-piece set. So this, like, with this, it does the top items that are in white, and then when you have the two parts of it, you get 5% chance to replenish one potion when Bone Golem hits an enemy, and then third one gives you the other stuff down there. I think that is awesome. I don't want to replace that. And this is where the account SSF part would come in, because if I throw that in my stash, it's going to be available, and I probably need to clean my stash. But like this down here is very cool. That reminds me a lot of Dark Souls, Demon Souls. The stuff you see in the background, that thing's going to have to die. Move this stuff forward, try to kill some of these things off. I got to get away from that. And kill it while I can. There are actual boss fights in here too. There's, I don't know, been 3 or 4, and maybe a few more. And every once in a while, there's like a boss fight to get through an area. Like, the game feels different than Path of Exile, greatly different, and it's more into the old school, the way Diablo 1, 2, and probably 3 used to be, and then the way Grim Dawn and all these other games are. It's more akin to those games by a mile than Path of Exile. It's a great difference. You know, I don't feel like I'm playing the same thing as Path of Exile, which you could argue these are all ARPGs and they're all kind of the same. But at the same time, this is, yeah, it's the same style, but it's a greatly different game, you know, and I like that. I like that this is got its own feel to it. And I think I could even play this and Grim Dawn separately too. I don't feel like I have issues where if I played one, I'd get, you know, some games like you go play, say, Call of Duty and Battlefield or something like that. You play those two kinds of games together and it feels odd because they're both the same control scheme. They're both kind of the same content and, or even two different Call of Duties, you know, you kind of get used to the same thing and, but slightly different. I don't know. This feels much different and I feel like I could play all of these different games and not necessarily feel like I'm playing the exact same thing. They don't feel like clones of each other. They don't feel bad. So they finish off the big battle with another big battle. That's cool. All the skills feel impactful. There's skills that I've used and I've like, yeah, this is all right. Then I use a different skill and I'm like, that's way better. Then I've used some skills and you know, they're just really good. Like this Cinder Strike. Once I started using this, that was it. I never looked back. I just want to put more points into it because I like this skill far better than all the other ones that I've tried. Some of these other ones might be good, but for a skill that takes no mana, this thing does some serious work. Oh yeah, I forgot to put my turrets back down. Oh, let's see here. Some of the levels are a little bit long, and they're actual levels. They're not like, I don't know. In Path of Exile, I would call them more of an area than a level, if that makes sense. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but these I would consider like a level. Get that thing out of here. I've got a level down here I can equip. Where are we going here? We getting close? The other thing that, well, one thing that this does have in common with Path of Exile is they love to put enemies next to the portals. I don't understand it. I really don't get that, but they love putting enemies around all these portals. You go to find one to get the portal unlocked, like, you know, the waypoint, whatever you want to call it. You go get your waypoint unlocked and you got to deal with all these monsters that are near it, which is, I don't know. I think it's more in Path of Exile for hardcore mode, but it seems kind of odd that this game does it too. All right. Gotta get out of here. You gotta die. Come on, die. Jesus. Heavy quiver of stillness. I got other problems coming in here. These things are not letting off. This science experiment gone wrong can die in fire. They are not joking around as this goes, for sure. I like the active combat. Like in Path of Exile, once you get your build sorted out, you don't do this. You don't fight individual monsters. You're killing the crowd, so to speak. Like here, there's some crowds that come up, but I've got to worry more about that big monster. In Path of Exile, you can clear out all the little monsters around it and just keep on going. This one, some of this stuff follows you, and they will hunt you down and murder you before you get there. Is any of this going to be like a town? It's going to be constant fight. I'll get to this next portal area and call this a video. Yeah, this video's gone on for way longer than I thought it would. This might just be a long video. Maybe I'll just leave it like that. I didn't plan on making this long a one, but I kind of get lost in playing. This is a lot of fun. I think this is a very worthwhile game, and I have really enjoyed my time with it. I'm so glad these guys took the time to build this. From what I understand, I didn't realize this, I guess, or maybe I knew it a few years ago, but this was just some people on Reddit or some forum or something somewhere that just said, hey, let's go make an ARPG. And then next thing you know, they're a company and, nobody had any experience developing games. They're just, next thing you know, they're developing a game on their own, learning to code and stuff like that. And I read something similar about Pal World, that those developers there didn't really know anything either. They just started, see, this thing drops all these idols. I thought that was cool too. So you get these whatever these things are. They drop gold idols, the buffs on there. But yeah, I was reading that saw that the Pal World devs, those guys didn't have any clue how to do anything. They just learned it as they went. And I think that's phenomenal to get that kind of success just by sheer willpower. I'm going to learn this, and that's that. I think that's very cool. Let's see, is this thing packed with enemies? Usually these are. Nope, it's actually not. So we can go to town here. Hello? Why can't we travel? Oh, I thought I had that selected. Guess I didn't. Oh, chapter 4. That's where we're at. I don't know how many chapters are in this, but yeah. So I'll cut this video off here. I'm enjoying this. Again, if you're interested in this game, go into it blind. You can more than adequately pick things in here. If you have regrets, you can actually, there's somebody you can talk to in town. I don't see one here, but in one of these areas, they've got like a little brain on them. You can actually go respec points. So if you don't like the choices you've made, like I could actually respec out of these arrows and go into something else. But I think you can totally do this game without a build guide, and I think it's probably more fun to do this without one and try things because you can respec stuff. And yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and take that. I may respec out of those and put these in here. But anyway, that will do it for this video, and there's definitely going to be a lot more of this. I don't know what the series looks like. Probably going to try to finish the campaign off here this weekend and then see what the end game is like, and maybe we'll have a video then. But anyway, that will do it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.